Now next part is the classifications of vasodilators and symphatolytics. In that the vasodilators like hydralazine takes place. Then second one potassium channel agonist minoxidil. Then the symphatolytic system in that beta blockers and alpha blockers. Okay. So beta blockers, non-selective, selective beta 1 blockers, selective alpha 1 blockers, mixed alpha and beta blockers. Now you just go through symphatolytic drugs. They are non-selective, selective, mixed. So what is the difference between these selective, non-selective and mixed? Suppose a drug act on beta 1 receptor, it blocks the beta 1 receptor and it does not act on any alpha receptor or any other beta receptor like beta 2, it acts only on beta 1 receptor, then you can say that the drug is selective beta 1 blocker. Okay, so the drugs selective beta 1 blockers, they only block the beta 1 receptor, they will not block beta 2 receptor or any other alpha receptor. Okay, now suppose a drug is act or will block beta 1 receptor and somewhat it having the activity on beta 2 beta 2 receptor. So they having the activity on beta 1 plus beta 2. So the such drug it's called as non-selective beta blockers. That means they can act on beta 1 as well as the beta 2 receptor. They will not act on alpha receptor. They will act only on the all the beta receptors or one or more than one beta receptor. So they becomes non-selective. Now the third part, that is the mix alpha beta blockers. So the carvedilol, labetalol, these are the drugs which can act on alpha block, which act as beta blockers, that is alpha blockers and beta blockers. So they are having the activity on both alpha as well as the beta. So they are called as the mixed alpha beta blockers. So in this way the classification of these vasodilators or symphatolytic takes place. Vasodilators, hydralazine, potassium channel agonist, minoxidil. Then these are the symphatolytic drugs. Now we will start with the first drug, that is the hydralazine. It is a direct vasodilator. Okay, so this is the structure of hydralazine. So this is the hydrazine part. This is thalazine part. So the hydralazine is called as 1-hydrazine thalazine. This is thalazine. This is hydrazine. So 1-hydrazine thalazine. It is the first orally active antihypertensive drug which is marketed. Now we'll move to their mechanism of action. So until now the mechanism of action is hydralazine is not certain that this can act by this mechanism. We cannot say. Sometimes it have act by one mechanism, sometimes it may act by second mechanism. But the dilation of artery or how it dilate the artery, that mechanism is remain uncertain. But it is there are some evidence that it can act by different ways. So one of the way is that they are responsible to inhibit release of calcium which is induced by the IP3 DAX system, in that IP3 inositol triphosphate. So hydralazine is responsible to inhibit inositol triphosphate induced release of calcium from intracellular storage. So if the concentration of calcium decreases, then it is difficult for the heart muscles to undergo the contraction process, because for the muscles to be contract it requires the calcium ions, and due to the inhibition of their storage it is difficult to get the calcium ions for the contraction of heart muscles. So it diminishes the contraction as the intracellular calcium ion decreases. So this hydrazine promotes dilatation by opening the calcium activated potassium channel, and also it releases the nitric oxide which is the directly acting vasodilators. Okay, already we have seen the its mechanism of action, how the nitric oxide works in angina pectoris. So I will not repeat here. You should know only they are responsible to release nitric oxide which are responsible for the vasodilators. Note that it does not relax venous smooth muscles. Now the second drug, that is the minoxidil, that is the potassium channel agonist. The drug minoxidil is discovered in 1965. This is the structure of minoxidil. Okay. So actually minoxidil having the its usefulness in the treatment of hair loss. Actually, generally the drugs minoxidil is given for the patient to grow the hairs on the bald areas. Okay. It also acts as antihypertensive drug, that is in the treatment of hypertension. Okay. But the minoxidil is not an active drug, it is a prodrug. For the activation of minoxidil, it has to be converted into the active drug, and this active drug is converted with the help of enzyme sulfotransferase. So this sulfotransferase converts the prodrug minoxidil into the minoxidil NO sulfate. So here you are getting NO. Okay. So I will just draw this NO remain as it is, and here the sulfate formation takes place, that is the double bond O, double bond O, and here comes OH. So on this oxygen there is a binding of HSO3 takes place, that is the sulfate group takes place, which is the active form of drug minoxidil. The minoxidil is the prodrug. It undergo sulfation reaction by the sulfotransferase to the active drug, that is the sulfate drug, as minoxidil NO and over sulfate group. So it is called as minoxidil NO sulfate. Okay. So what is the role of this minoxidil, or how it act as an antihypertensive agent? So it is a potassium channel agonist. Okay. Now in case of potassium channel, so potassium is remain inside the cell. So it is the intracellular ions, and outside there is the presence of positive charge species. Okay. So when the potassium channel agonist is given like minoxidil, it opens the potassium channels and efflux of potassium takes place from intracellular into the extracellular. So when efflux takes place outside the cell, there is a positive charge which increases due to the efflux of potassium, and inside potassium is released, so negative charge increases. So in this way, the potential difference between the extracellular part and intracellular part, it is increase, and it is called as hyperpolarization, and this hyperpolarization is responsible for the relaxation of स्मूथ मसल्स. लक्षात आलं. सो आतमध्ये निगेटिव्ह चार्ज असतो, बाहेरमध्ये पॉझिटिव्ह चार्ज असतो, आणि पोटॅशियम आयन हे इंट्रासेल्युलर आयन्स आहे. सो व्हेन potassium channel agonist are given, it opens potassium channel, so the influx of potassium takes place outside the cell. So outside the cell the positive charge increases. As the positive charge goes outside, inside the cell negative charge increases, so the potential difference increases. It results into the hyperpolarization, and it results into the relaxation of smooth muscles. So relaxation of hard muscles takes place. Okay. So in this way they are useful in the treatment of hypertension. So this is the second drug, minoxidil. Now next part, antiadrenergic drug. So antiadrenergic, they are either alpha blockers or the beta blockers, which are given as a symphytolytic drugs, which are indirectly dilates the vessels. Okay. So alpha blockers, they are also classified into alpha 1, alpha 2, alpha 3, out of which for our syllabus point of view, we should know what is alpha 1 receptor. So the alpha 1 receptor are present in the smooth muscles, liver, and salivary gland. So in salivary gland, they are responsible for the secretion. Here they are responsible for the glycogenolysis. But in case of smooth muscles, they are responsible for the contraction of smooth muscles. So the contraction of blood vessels takes place. So the alpha 1 receptor is responsible for the contraction of blood vessels. लक्षात आलं. And if you have to dilate the blood vessels, what you have to give? You have to give alpha 1 receptor blockers. Okay, got the points. Alpha 1 receptor is present in the smooth muscle, which is responsible for the contraction. So if we are giving the alpha 1 receptor blocker, it will block the alpha 1 receptor. So there is no contraction of smooth muscles, there is no contraction of the blood vessels. So ultimately it will result into the blood dilation, sorry, blood dilatation. Now, through which mechanism these alpha and beta receptor act? So, when adrenaline bind to the beta receptor, they activates adenyl cyclates, which are responsible for the conversion of ATP into the cyclic AMP, and this cyclic AMP activates protein kinase. Protein kinase causes the phosphorylation, and ultimately it will result into the activation of calcium binding proteins, and it will causes the contraction. Similarly, alpha 1 receptor, it also responsible to release protein kinase and calcium. So the kinase is responsible for the phosphorylation. Along with the calcium, they are responsible for the contraction of smooth muscle. So this alpha 1 receptor act through the phospholipase C enzyme, which is responsible to convert into the IP3 DAX system, that is the inositol triphosphate and diacyl glycerol. Okay, but if you observe alpha 2, here negative, negative, negative is written. That means they are responsible for the inhibition of adenyl cyclase. So there is no formation of cyclic AMP, no formation of protein kinase. So it will causes the dilatation of blood vessels, or it will not causes the contraction. So in case of antihypertensive drug, you can give beta blocker, alpha blocker, and alpha 2 agonist, because this activity is opposite to the activity of beta receptor. So beta receptor causes contraction, alpha 2 receptor causes inhibit the contraction or relaxation. Okay, so if it is relaxing the smooth muscles, we no need to give the antagonist, you can give the alpha 2 agonist. So beta blockers, alpha 1 blockers, or alpha 2 agonist. What is symphytolytic drugs? Which decreases the sympathetic activity, which blocks the interaction of norepinephrine or adrenaline agonist with the receptors. So these drugs, they are called as antiadrenergic drugs, symphytolytic drugs, adrenergic blocking agents, or adrenergic blockers. Now classification into alpha antagonist and beta antagonist. Alpha antagonist, again non-selective. In non-selective, they are again classified into reversible and irreversible. For our point of view, our syllabus point of view, we have selective alpha 1 antagonist, that is the quinazoline ring structure as a lead molecule. So prozosine, terazosin is there for our syllabus. Then selective alpha 2 antagonist is there. Example yohimbine, it is not there for our syllabus. Then beta antagonists, they are classified into selective, non-selective, and mix. So non-selective, selective beta 1 antagonist, and mix alpha beta antagonist. So these two drugs which are mixed, labetalol, carvedilol, there is for our syllabus. These beta antagonist is also there for our syllabus. Non-selective like propranolol, nonolol is there also for our syllabus. Okay, now we move to the next part, beta blockers. So this is the general structure of beta blocker.